Today I want to talk a little bit about just some of the frustrations that I've had with the Fujifilm XT4. In this video, I just want to put out a little disclaimer. This is the perfect photography camera for me. As for photos, I think it's perfect. Fujifilm has always made amazing photography cameras, and I have literally nothing bad to say about it from a photography perspective. Autofocus is quick, the colors are amazing. Photography wise, it's really great. The raw files that you get out of the camera, along with just the JPEGs themselves, are really solid. So I don't really have anything negative to say about this camera for photography, but it's mostly the video side of this camera that is really kind of weird to me, and that is with the IBIS specifically. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I just felt like this would be a good video to make. So the main reason for me and why this camera has been kind of tough to use and really commit to for video-centric work is just mainly because of the strange wobbling that you get with the IBIS. You know, with the XT3 before the XT4 didn't have IBIS in it. I almost kind of would rather use the XT3 than the XT4, because basically all the XT4 is an upgraded version that included the flip out screen and the in-body image stabilization, and maybe a little bit faster autofocus, and maybe a couple new film simulations, which I don't really use those for video anyway. The IBIS to me is really awful. You get the weird, really exaggerated corner wobbling effect. I've only used this camera really for photography gigs or as a B camera on main shoots, which with this is being filmed on the Pocket 6K Pro right now. This camera is a good companion as a B camera, but I don't think I would ever want to use it handheld, simply because the corner wobbling effect is just so bad. I almost would rather use a XT3 handheld and try to just beat that camera shake by good old-fashioned adding weight to the camera, which is what professional legitimate cinematographers and when they're shooting movies and things like that, they just add weight. The cameras are so heavy that there aren't any micro jitters, but with these small cameras you obviously get a lot of micro jitters. So this camera's really been frustrating to me from a handheld video shooting perspective because of the IBIS. Most of what I do is handheld, and I thought that, when I got this camera about a year ago to this date, I would be able to, use it with some of my vintage primes that I have, because that's kind of how I like to shoot. I like to use the Contax primes, and I have a Helios prime and some Olympus primes, and I figured that would take out some of that wobble, or the micro jitters that you get with the XT3 or any other camera that doesn't have IBIS. The footage almost becomes so bad to a point where it's actually not even usable, because you can usually solve the jitters by using some sort of program stabilization in Final Cut Pro or whatever. You can't really get rid of the wobbling effect, so a lot of it has just become very unusable to me. I would really like to see some sort of update from Fujifilm to improve the stability of the internal stabilization mechanism. I'm not sure if that's even possible, but it's just been really frustrating to me because I haven't enjoyed or even felt like I could use any of the footage that I film handheld, especially at regular speed and 24 frames per second, which is, I don't like to shoot everything in slow motion. And then slow motion does take out some of that crazy wobbling, or it doesn't take it out, it just kind of hides it more than anything. But I would really like to see some sort of improvement, and the main way that I shoot is handheld in 24 frames per second, or handheld in slow motion 90% of things, unless I'm shooting on a tripod. If the way that I shoot 90% of the time is being impeded by bad image stabilization, then I truthfully don't really want it. And I feel like the GH5 that I had for a little while was a great camera in terms of image stabilization. I'm not sure what the solution is. I'm not a camera manufacturer. I'm simply a user of cameras. But Fujifilm, if you're watching this, you're probably not. But I've heard from many people like Joshua Martin and some other people who talk about the IBIS and just how kind of unusable it is and how bad it can be at times. I've heard from a lot of people that they struggle with it too. So I think this is definitely something that Fujifilm should consider and should look into a little more. The entire value proposition of the XT4 was that it was more video-centric, and if it only detracts from creating good images, because image quality wise, it's an amazing camera. I don't have any complaints about the image. The dynamic range is great. Again, the colors, the f-log, the 10-bit 420 H.265 codec is fine. It's really a strong codec that you can really push around and manipulate if you want to, or just using Eterna right out of the camera is also a really great option. I don't have any problems with any of that, but it's really the crazy wobbling that basically ruins footage at the end of the day that really makes me question whether or not this is the right camera or not. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you've experienced with your Fujifilm X-T4 as well, or if you've got an X-T3 but are now kind of questioning upgrading to the X-T4, because I honestly might go back to the X-T3, as weird as that sounds. This camera for photography is really amazing. I have no complaints. It's just a better version of the X-T3. And for photography, the IBIS is actually really helpful. You know, shooting low shutter speeds, 1/50th, 1/40th of a second, is actually really attainable with the IBIS, which is helpful for that. But, you know, for video, it just makes a lot of footage simply unusable. With that being said, that's where I will wrap up this sort of rant. I would like to see a fix for this, because if not, I might go back to the X-T3, or I've been looking at the Panasonic S5 as well as a B camera to the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro. Fujifilm is amazing, but I think this is a really kind of a deal breaker. I mean, I've had this camera for over a year now, and I've not really been able to use it confidently in a situation where I'm shooting handheld for something that is a legitimate paid project. So I don't even have a ton of footage from it, but I do have a bunch of footage of just me kind of testing it out. So obviously that's going to be in this video. If you want to see more videos like this, maybe not sad videos like this, because this is a little sad and annoying, but if you like my videos, feel free to subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next one.